Good day, children. Let us continue the video 2 of the chapter, Poverty as a Challenge. As I told you, we have named video 2 as Poverty Line. Now, what you mean by poverty line? Poverty line, it's a common method to measure poverty. That is, a poverty line is an indicator of poverty. It is a level of income. That is, we decide if a particular person, the income of a particular person, if that particular person cannot reach that income, then that particular person is considered as poor or under the poverty line. That family is under the poverty line. So, it is a common method used to measure poverty, which is based on income or consumption level. And poverty line is an indicator of poverty, as I said, and it is a level of income which barely meets the sustenance. And a person is considered poor if his or her income or consumption level falls below a given minimum level necessary to fulfill the basic needs. And poverty line may vary with time and place. And the present formula for food requirement while estimating the poverty line is based on the desired calorie requirement. And the calorie needs vary depending on age, sex, and the type of work that a person does. So, the accepted calorie requirement in India is 2400 calories per person per day in rural area and 2100 calories per person per day in urban areas. See, we see the difference there too. The people in rural areas, they do hard and manual work, so the calorie intake is more than when we compare to the urban areas. Then the poverty line is estimated, like we estimate it periodically, that is normally every 5 years is what we take. And this particular survey is conducted by NSSO, that is National Sample Survey Organization. And according to the year 2011, a family of 5 members living in rural areas earning less than about 4080 rupees per month will be considered as under the poverty line. Similarly, in urban areas, it is rupees 5000. Now, who are the most vulnerable groups? Who are considered as the vulnerable? That is, under the social group, we say it is the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. These are the people who are more vulnerable under the social group. Now, what about the economic group? Under the economic group, groups, who are the most vulnerable? That is, in rural areas, it is the agricultural labor households, and in urban, it is the casual labor households. Then we have inequality. There is inequality of income within the family. How can there will be inequality within the family? Suppose if a parent is having 2 or 3 kids, their income also varies. The eldest might have, he might have done a good education, ultimately good job and a better income. But that may not be the case with the next two. So there is inequality of income within the family. Then we have the other section, that is women, the elderly people, the female infants are denied equal access to resources available to the family. So these are the people who are the vulnerable groups. The scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes, the rural household, that is agricultural labor households, the casual labor households, women, the elderly people and the female infants. All these are the people who come under, who are the most vulnerable groups. Now we understand that the proportion of poor people is not the same in every state. There is interstate disparities. There is interstate disparity with respect to poverty. There has been a significant decline in poverty in many states, but just few. This may be due to many reasons. That is, in Punjab and Haryana, because of high agricultural growth rate, because of high agricultural growth rate. Because we understand that the Green Revolution has started in Punjab and Haryana during 1960s. So because of high agricultural growth rate, the poverty has declined in Punjab and Haryana. The next one is Kerala, because they focused more on human resource development, human resource, where this particular state gave more importance to education. Thus naturally the people got good job and it was possible for them to reduce poverty. Next is West Bengal, that is due to the land reform measures. It was possible for them to reduce poverty. That is land reform measures in West Bengal. Then in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, with the public distribution system, with the PDS system, the people were given food grains and thus ultimately the people, or it reduced poverty. So likewise, these were the states in which the poverty has been reduced in some respect, but there are many other states who are waiting in order to come down, in order to reduce the poverty level, and the government is playing a great role in it. Then after the interstate disparity, the same thing is with the global poverty scenario. That is, there has been a substantial reduction of poverty as in the world. That we can understand through, that is in China and Southeast Asia, because of rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development, it was possible for them to reduce poverty. It says that number of poor has come down from 606 million in 1981 to 212 million in 2001. So from this number we understand that in China and Southeast Asia the poverty has reduced. And in South Asia, that is the countries like India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh and Bhutan, the poverty has come down from around 54%. Then there are a lot other countries like sub-Saharan African countries, Russia, etc. The poverty has reduced. So we have just named few of the countries here where the poverty has reduced, but there are many other countries it has reduced drastically, but still there are more to go. There are many countries who have to come out from this poverty level. Then the next is the causes of poverty. When we talk about the causes of poverty in India, the first main reason is the low level of economic development under the British and colonial administration. And the second one is the failure in the promotion of economic growth and the increase in population, that has perpetuated the cycle of poverty. It has increased the cycle of poverty. The third one, the people are unable to find jobs. Lot of jobs were given, many of them got it, but still it was not equivalent or not enough to absorb all the job seekers. So unable to find jobs in cities, many people they started working as rickshaw pullers, vendors, construction workers, domestic servants, etc. And with this irregular small incomes, these people could not afford to have expensive housings. Then existence of huge income inequalities has led to unequal distribution of land and other resources. That is, we know there is a wide gap between the rich and the poor, and thus the rich will always have the land or the resources, more number of resources, land resources, and there is always a wide disparity between them. Then we have lack of land resources has been one of the major causes of poverty. Then we have socio-cultural and economic factors like to fulfill social obligations, to observe religious ceremonies. People they spend lot of money on these religious ceremonies. Even if they don't have money, they make sure to observe these religious ceremonies. For that, what they do is mostly they borrow it from their relatives or from their friends. And the last one is poor people have hardly any savings, so they borrow for their subsistence. And ultimately what happens? They are unable to repay because of poverty, and thus they become the victims of indebtedness. So all these are the causes of poverty, a wide range of causes. And we understand that these are the causes. The government understand that these are the causes of poverty, and they are trying to eradicate poverty through lot of programs, lot of anti-poverty alleviation programs. Now, some of the anti-poverty alleviation programs are the first one, the Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, which was launched in 1993. This was launched in 1993. It was to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas and to create employment opportunities in small towns for educated unemployed. Then we have the second one, Rural Employment Generation Program, which was launched in 1995 to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas. Then we have the third one, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, which was launched in 1999. This was aimed to bring the poor families above poverty line. Then we have the fourth one, that is Pradhan Mantri Gram Yojana, Gramodaya Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, which was launched in 2000. That is, additional assistance is given to states for basic services like primary health, primary education, rural shelter, rural drinking water, rural electrification. For all these purposes, this particular program was launched in 2000. Then we have the next one, Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Antyodaya Anna Yojana, which was launched in 2000. And this was launched for the poorest of the poor and the elders. It was launched in 2000, that is December 2000, for the poorest of the poor. Then we have the next one, that is the National Food for Work Program, which was launched in 2004. That the main objective was generation of supplementary wage employment. That National Food for Work Program. Then you have National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which was launched in 2005 and which provided 100 days of employment every year to every rural households in 200 districts. So these are certain poverty alleviation programs introduced by the government so that the people, they have better standard of living in some way or the other, and it was possible for them to lift above the poverty line, to have a better standard of living. Then we have challenges ahead. Challenges ahead means we understand that poverty has certainly declined in India. That's what we said. Many of the states, due to many reasons, the poverty has declined. But despite the progress, the poverty reduction remains India's most compelling challenge. Some of the various challenges are like there is wide disparities in poverty seen between rural and urban areas and also among different states. Then there are certain social and economic groups are more vulnerable to poverty. Then we also understand that poverty reduction is expected to make progress in the next 10 to 15 years. But due to higher growth rate, declining population growth, increasing empowerment of the women and the economically weaker sections of the society, we make sure that the poverty is being reduced due to these reasons. Then there is also like eradication of poverty is always a moving target. That is, the target will move on for many of the bigger challenges like health care, education, job security, gender equality and dignity for the poor. So all these are the challenges that we are facing. And our government is making sure by introducing a lot of poverty alleviation programs to reduce the poverty in India. I hope it is clear. Now let us just go through just once again through the PPT that I have prepared. This is what I said, poverty line. Now poverty line, it's a common method used to measure poverty, is based on income or consumption level. And as I said, when we talk about poverty line, it is an indicator of poverty. And if a person is considered to be poor, if his or her income or consumption level falls below a given minimum level. So likewise, in India, it is the desired calorie requirement is taken into consideration. So the accepted calorie requirement in India is 2400 calories per person per day in rural areas, and 2100 calories per person per day in urban areas. And we said poverty line is estimated periodically. It is estimated periodically. That is normally every 5 years. And this particular survey is conducted by NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization. And it is also now decided that by the year 2011, it has been decided in rural areas, if a particular family per month is earning only for 4,080, then that particular family comes under poverty line. Similarly, in urban area, it is 5,000. Then who are the most vulnerable group is the next slide, which shows that under the social group, it is the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Under the economic group, it is in rural, it is the agricultural labor households. In urban, it is the casual labor households. Then also I said there is inequality existing within the family. Then I said about women, the elderly people, the female infants who are denied of equal access, and they are also facing a lot of issues within the families. Then I said all the states, they are trying to reduce the poverty level, but there is still interstate disparities we could see. Some of these states, they were able to reduce the income. Poverty is in Punjab and Haryana because of high agricultural growth rate, they were able to reduce poverty. Then in Kerala, it is because they focus more in human resource development. This particular state was able to reduce poverty. Next is West Bengal, that is they adopted the land reform measures have been helped in reducing poverty. Then last, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, there was a lot of public distribution system, that is the food grain used to be distributed among the poor people. So it was possible for them to reduce poverty. And in the same way, it is the same case with in the global poverty scenario, where I said there is substantial reduction in global poverty, like in China and Southeast Asia, because of rapid economic growth and massive investments in human resource development, it was possible for them to reduce poverty. In the same case with India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh and Bhutan, the poverty has come down, around 54% has come down. Likewise, the other countries, like some of the countries from sub-Saharan African countries, Russia, they also were able to reduce poverty. Then next is the causes of poverty. We must be aware what are the different causes of poverty. Now on the basis of that poverty, we have to know certain steps we have to take in order to reduce poverty. So first let us understand what are the causes of poverty. First, as I said, the low level of economic development under the British colonial administration is one reason. Then the failure in the promotion of economic growth as well as the population control, which has perpetuated the cycle of poverty, which has increased the cycle of poverty. The population started increasing, and the failure in the promotion of economic growth. So naturally this perpetuated the cycle of poverty. Then lots of job opportunities it was created, but we could not give job to everyone. So what happened, some of the people, they were not able to find jobs, so they started working as rickshaw pullers, vendors, construction sites, they started working in construction workers. Then some of them started working as domestic servants. And with this minimal amount, or with this irregular small incomes, these people, they could not afford for expensive housing. Then we said there is a wide gap between the rich and the poor. There is a huge income inequalities is existing. And we also understand that there is lack of land resources, which has been one of the major causes of poverty. Then next I said the socio-cultural and economic factors. In order to fulfill certain obligations, to observe certain religious ceremonies, people, they spend lot of money. If they want to, certain religious ceremonies, the cost, it may go up very high, but still they make sure in order to meet, or in order to observe these religious ceremonies, they spend money even if they don't have it. So naturally they will borrow. Then we all are aware, people, poor people, hardly they have any savings. So naturally for their subsistence, they will borrow it from the other people, maybe from their friends, or maybe from money lenders. So thus they become the victims of indebtedness. Now some of the anti-poverty measures, that is removal of poverty, has been one of the major objectives of Indian development strategy. And the current government's anti-poverty strategy is based on, that is, first we have to make sure that there is promotion of economic growth. Promotion of economic growth must be the first criteria. Second is, they have targeted some anti-poverty programs in order to reduce poverty. These are the two strategies that the government has adopted, and with which some of the anti-poverty programs is Prime Minister's Rozgar Yojana, as I said, started in 1993 to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas. Second one is, we have Rural Employment Generation Program, which is launched in 1995. It is to create self-employment opportunities in rural areas. Then we have the third one, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, launched in 1999. It is aimed to bring the poor families above poverty line. The fourth one is, we have the Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, which was launched in 2000. Additional assistance is given to some of the states for the basic services like primary health, primary education, rural shelter, etc. Then we have the fifth one, Antyodaya Anna Yojana, launched in 2000. It is launched for the poorest of the poor. Then we have next, National Food for Work Program, launched in 2004. An objective was generation of supplementary wage employment. Then we have the last one, that is National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which was launched in 2005. And it was, this provided 100 days of employment every year to every rural households in 200 districts. So these were the strategies that the government has taken, certain anti-alleviation programs, so that the poverty is being reduced in some way or the other. Next is, we have challenges, as I said. There are a lot of poverty. We understand that the poverty has declined, but the lot of challenges we are facing, that is wide disparities we find in both rural urban areas. Then certain social and economic groups, groups that are more vulnerable to poverty. Then we also understand that poverty reduction is expected to progress within next 10 to 15 years. Likewise, we also eradication of poverty is always our moving target. But apart from that, we have bigger challenges like we have to make sure that healthcare is taken care, education must be given, there must be job security, there is gender equality, dignity for the poor. All these things must be taken into account. Now, here in this slide, this is assignment questions. Make sure that it must be written in A4 size sheets, and it carries marks. Should write neatly and make sure the sheets are bordered properly. The first question of the assignment is explain the causes of poverty, which carries 5 marks. And the second question is state the various poverty alleviation programs introduced by the government to reduce poverty in India. To reduce poverty in India. Okay, introduced by the government to reduce poverty in India. That also 5 marks. Then you have some notebook questions. That is, there are around 6 questions that is given to write in the notebook. Make sure to take a fresh page, write down the name of the chapter's heading with the date, and the questions are number 1, what are the dimensions of poverty? Second is, what is poverty line? Third one is, who are most vulnerable groups? And the fourth one, what is the accepted average calorie requirement in India? Fifth is, what does social exclusion mean? And the sixth one is, which states report a significant decline in poverty? And I hope the second video is clear, and make sure to read the text thoroughly, understand each and every sentence, and try to underline the important one-word answers as you read the textbook. Thank you and have a great day.